welcome back to Tesifix. You know, we spend a ton of time in our cars, right?
Hmm.
And most of us, I think, want that interior to feel nice and fresh and clean.
Right.
And a big part of that is something that I honestly didn't even know existed for way too long. It's the cabin air filter.
Yeah.
And today we're going on a deep dive into the surprisingly fascinating world of these filters.
Okay.
Specifically, how to replace them in a Tesla Model Y.
All right.
You might be thinking, isn't that just like a simple swap?
Yeah.
But trust me, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how these filters are kind of like the unsung heroes of our cars, right?
Yeah.
We're all over oil changes and tire pressure, but these filters are quietly protecting our lungs from all sorts of nasty stuff.
Right.
Dust, pollen,
Yeah.
even exhaust fumes.
That's true. I remember the first time I changed mine, I was genuinely shocked. It looked like a science experiment gone wrong, all clogged up with who knows what.
Yeah.
So we're using this awesome guide from Tesla itself to walk you through the process.
And you'll see that Tesla doesn't mess around when it comes to clean air,
Oh, okay.
because the Model Y actually has 2 cabin air filters.
Oh.
That's double the protection and double the fun when it comes to replacing them.
All right, so let's get down to business.
Okay.
First up, the guide says we need to turn off the climate control.
Makes sense.
No surprise there.
Uh-huh.
We don't want the AC blasting us in the face while we're working.
Right.
It's like telling the car to chill out for a bit while we do our thing.
Exactly. You don't want any unexpected gusts of air while you're in there.
Right.
Next, we need to prep our workspace a bit,
Okay.
move the front passenger seat all the way back, and get that floor mat out of the way.
Yeah.
This will give you the room you need to access the filter compartment.
It's like setting the stage for a grand performance, except instead of a spotlight, we have a flashlight.
Yeah.
And the stars of the show are these filters.
Filter.
All right, now for the fun part. We get to use a clip pry tool
Okay.
to release those push clips holding the footwell cover in place.
I always feel a little bit like a secret agent when I use one of those tools.
Me too. It's like you're disarming a tiny explosive device, except the only thing you're diffusing is stale air.
Just a word of caution, though. The guide specifically says not to pull on the wires
Okay.
when disconnecting the connector.
Oh, right.
Be gentle.
We don't want to rip anything out.
Yeah.
Speaking of connectors, there are 2 electrical ones we need to detach.
Uh-huh.
One for the footwell light, the other for the speaker.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like unplugging a lamp or a tiny boombox.
This step reminds me of those frustrating moments, trying to untangle holiday lights.
Oh, yeah?
Sometimes those connectors can feel a bit like that.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Especially that speaker connector.
Yeah.
It's got this little tab that you need to release just right.
Right.
But, hey, a little patience and a good flashlight go a long way.
Absolutely.
Now, with the footwell cover safely out of the way,
Okay.
we're ready to tackle the right side panel.
Yeah.
The guide says we need to use a trim tool to release it from the center console.
Here's where it gets a bit more interesting.
Oh.
We need a 6mm screw
Okay.
to detach the cabin filter cover. It's like this hidden compartment tucked away behind this panel.
Wow.
Almost like Tesla is testing our dedication to clean air.
Uh-huh.
You might even need your trim tool again here, depending on your specific Model Y.
I can already hear some of you scrambling for your toolboxes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the guide has a complete list of everything you'll need.
Right.
And it even mentions that some Model Ys might have tabs instead of a screw holding the cover in place, so keep an eye out for those.
Good tip.
And once you've conquered that step, you'll finally lay eyes on those hard-working cabin air filters.
Yeah.
The guide says to fold the upper filters, pull tabs outward, and gently pull it out.
Okay.
It's almost like you're an archaeologist carefully unearthing an ancient artifact.
I like that visual.
Okay, we've got the upper filter out. But wait, there's more.
That's right. Remember those 2 filters?
Oh, right.
The lower one is hiding right beneath the upper one.
Okay.
You'll need to pull that one upward and out as well. It's a buy one, get one free deal on air filter replacement.
Double the filters. Double the satisfaction of replacing them. But before we slap those new filters in, there's a crucial detail we need to pay attention to, right?
Absolutely. The guide is very specific about this. The arrows on both filters need to face towards the rear of the vehicle.
Got it.
It's all about making sure the air flows in the right direction.
So it's like making sure those filters are facing the right way to catch all those pesky particles trying to sneak into the cabin.
Exactly.
Now, this is where having the right tools really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Remember my story about wrestling with that footwell cover?
Oh, yeah. The infamous flying footwell cover incident?
Well, that wouldn't happen if I'd had a trim tool.
Right.
That little tool gives you just the right leverage to pop those clips open without turning your car into a projectile launching machine.
It's true. The right tools can save you a lot of frustration. And speaking of tools, the guide mentions using a torque wrench to tighten that 6mm screw.
Yeah.
Don't worry if you don't have one.
Right.
But if you do, Tesla recommends 1.2 nm or 0.89 foot-pounds of torque.
For those of you who aren't familiar with torque, it's just a fancy way of saying how tight we need to screw things in.
Yeah.
Over-tightening can damage things.
Right.
So having a torque wrench is helpful.
Yeah.
But not absolutely necessary.
Just make sure it's snug.
Snug, but not Hulk-smashing tight.
Exactly. Now, if your Model Y has those tabs instead of a screw,
Yeah.
you'll need to carefully maneuver the cover into place and secure those tabs.
Right.
It's a bit like solving a mini puzzle, making sure everything fits just right.
I like puzzles.
And with that, we're in the home stretch. We just need to reverse the steps we took earlier.
Okay.
Reconnect those two electrical connectors, the ones that reminded us of tangled holiday lights.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure they're securely in place. And then reattach the right side panel, making sure all the clips are engaged. It should snap back into place nice and snug.
It's so satisfying when you hear that click.
It is.
It's like the car is saying, good job, you did it right.
Yeah.
And finally, we reattach the footwell cover, put that floor mat back where it belongs, and move the passenger seat back to its normal position.
And boom, you're done. You've successfully replaced your cabin air filters.
Give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
It might seem like a lot of steps, but it's incredibly satisfying to know you've taken care of this important maintenance task yourself.
You know, it's not just about the satisfaction of doing it yourself.
Right.
It's also about knowing you're breathing cleaner air.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. We often focus on the air quality outside,
Yeah.
but the air inside our cars can be just as important.
Absolutely.
Right.
Especially if you have allergies or are sensitive to pollutants.
That's a great point. And speaking of air quality,
Yes.
it's something we should all be thinking about, not just in our cars. We spend so much time indoors in our homes.
Yeah. Offices and even gyms, and the air quality in those places can have a huge impact on our health and well-being.
That's true. So while you're basking in the glory of your freshly replaced cabin air filters and enjoying that clean, crisp air in your car, take a moment to consider the air you're breathing in other aspects of your life.
Maybe it's time to invest in an air purifier for your home or look into ways to improve ventilation in your workspace.
Right.
Small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And, you know, this whole experience of replacing the cabin air filter has really highlighted for me the importance of staying on top of car maintenance.
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in our busy lives and let things slide. But taking care of our cars, even in these seemingly small ways, can pay off big time in the long run.
It's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Keeping up with regular maintenance can help prevent bigger problems down the road and save you a lot of headaches and money in the long run.
So if you've been putting off any car maintenance tasks, maybe this episode has inspired you to tackle them head on. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Even something as simple as checking your tire pressure or topping off your fluids can make a big difference.
And if you do decide to tackle a bigger project like replacing those cabin air filters, remember to take your time, consult the guide, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
There are tons of resources available online.
Yeah.
And you can always find helpful communities of car enthusiasts who are happy to share their knowledge and experience.
That's the beauty of the internet. It's like having a network of car gurus at your fingertips.
And speaking of gurus, are you ready for a mind-blowing fact about these cabin air filters?
Hit me with it.
Did you know that in China, Tesla actually recommends replacing the cabin air filters every year?
Oh, wow.
It's because the air quality there can be a bigger concern.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It really shows how much thought Tesla puts into creating a healthy environment inside their vehicles, no matter where in the world you're driving.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. We spend so much time in our cars these days. It's like they're becoming our second homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if Tesla's going the extra mile to ensure clean air in their cars, maybe it's a sign that we should all be paying more attention to the air we're breathing, both on the road and off.
Absolutely. Clean air is something we often take for granted until it's compromised.
Right.
So whether you're cruising in your Tesla or just hanging out at home, take a deep breath and appreciate that fresh, clean air.
And if you ever find yourself struggling with those cabin air filters, just remember this episode and all the tips and tricks we've shared. You got this.
You got this. And if you have any questions or funny stories about your own car maintenance adventures, be sure to share them with us. We love hearing from our listeners.
Until next time, happy driving and happy breathing.